Hello, I am Witch Nikki Joe Starflower. And November is Native American Heritage Month, a whole month to learn and understand and appreciate and celebrate being Native American. If you don't know anything about Native Americans, it's time you learn. And I don't know everything there is to know about Native Americans, but all these years I've been learning and learning and learning as much as I could because my family did not want to know anything about it. That's because in my family and many others like mine, children were taken out of their homes and put into boarding schools. Now, I'm not sure 100% on why my grandmother and her sister were left. It was assumed by my mother that they were left behind because the family was asked to move westward, like many Native Americans and Cherokee mostly. This was after the Trail of Tears, but they just kept wanting them to mix with white people. So my mother was left, my grandmother and my aunt were left at a boarding school. Their parents never came back for them. So they grew up there until they were, my grandmother was 17 and her sister was 16. So that's most of their life because they were little kids, little toddlers, and they didn't think that they were going to make it on that journey across country, and the other kids were bigger, so they left behind the youngest two. And so, like I said, their parents never came back for them. My grandpa worked as a groundskeeper at the boarding school. He was from Ireland, and he kind of just fell in love with her, my grandma. And so he took her and my aunt to California and said, we're going to try to look for your parents. So they did. Well, somewhere along the way, they fell in love and they got married after they'd been to California for a while and did not meet them. I think my grandpa didn't want to leave her alone in a state, in an area where she didn't know anything about where she was or what she was doing. Well, then my uncle was born to them, and then after that, my mom in 1924. So, by that date that still just barely Native Americans were considered to be not American citizens. And so just about that time, if you were Native American, things were very rough for you. And worse, being Irish. Do your history and look up facts, because immigrants that came after the founding fathers, I have a lot of words for them, but they were treated like many of the immigrants of today who do come to this country, and people just want to wash their hands of them. So Irish, Polish, Chinese, Japanese, the list kind of goes on. Italians, Irish, they were all treated like filthy mess. Just, that's not my words. I am not a racist, so no. But that's how it was in history, historically. And if you know your history, you're going to know that African Americans were treated just as bad, if not worse, because they were put into slavery. But a lot of people don't know that when Christopher Columbus came back here, he brought more people with him who started using Native Americans to create their cities and use them as slaves. So they were also used as slaves to build buildings and build cities, missions. The missions of California, who do you think built them? Native Americans of California. Okay. So my talk here isn't to be angry, just kind of to explain that we are still out here and we still are proud of our heritage. You're going to be seeing a lot of young people who are Native American and doing dances. I'm trying to share all of them that I have links for and stuff like that. Notorious Cree is one. I think Patrick is Navajo, or I forgot his little screen name, but he is also one. And there's many others that have just been popping up, and I don't have all of their links with me right now. But before I post this, I'm going to get their links so you could look them up on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. But what's the one that Instagram is doing? Reels. Okay. That's similar to TikTok. So if you don't like TikTok, you don't have to. But Reels is one of them that's on Instagram. So there's a lot of those young people, and I want to thank them so much for being out there and taking their time on lockdown when who knows what they're going through. But a lot of them are very young, and they're doing dances and they're doing challenges and stuff, keeping the heritage and culture alive during this time and sharing it with everybody and trying to tell why they do the dances that they do. Why do the young men wear their hair long and put it in braids? Why do they not like other people touching their hair? That it represents the energy that they have, and they don't want it touched by other people. And all the questions that we have to go through. Okay? And there are thousands of women, Native American women, who are disappearing and being murdered. So I'm not trying to balance out and say anything like our lives matter more than somebody else's lives. No, there's none of that going on. Not whatsoever. Native Americans firmly believe that Black lives matter. 100%. We're behind you because we have been going through it. And so we're coming together a lot of times. I'm seeing on social media a lot of Black folks and Native American folks coming together. And that is how it was in history also. Besides the Irish blending with the Native Americans, Blacks also. We stayed together. We understood. We had an empathy for each other because we were both going through the same things, and gosh darn it, we're still going through some tough times like that. Why can't you folks out there who are racist get over it? Just, it's something that you choose. Boom. Right now, right here today, you stop looking at the color of a person's skin and making jokes and being disrespectful, beating us, killing us, antagonizing us to the hilt, because we're forming alliances now, and pretty soon we'll become the majority. A mixed races becoming a majority against racist that will be getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And everywhere you go, we'll be saying things. You're a racist. Knock it off. Stop it. Go home. Look in the mirror. Stop doing that. Did you hear me breathing? Because I'm going through my own stuff. I received messages from my doctor saying this wasn't cancer, and that it might swell up a little bit, but it should start going down in a few days. But today I got a call from her nurse staff, and they want me to come in there on Thursday. She said she wants to see you in her office sometime this week. So I guess my anxiety is rising up a little bit. Plus, I'm having another issue that my wound from 3 cesareans and 1 hysterectomy, which were all sliced in the same direction, has become kind of red and inflamed. It's not bad. It happens every once in a while, maybe just from the stress I'm going through. I don't know. I keep clean every day, so I don't know what it is. The first thing that came to my thought was that it could be this, that maybe it got irritated by this, but I don't think so, because it does it every once in a while. And well, now I've lost my train of thought. So I'm going to, whatever it was that I was talking about, that we're coming together and we're not going to take the racism anymore. That's what I was saying, basically. So I don't really have a racist audience, I don't think. But if there are any racists who are just coming up here, don't antagonize me. Remember, the first name in my names is Witch. No, not with a B, with a W. Witch. So don't mess with me. Historical trauma. Look that one up. Let's ask Google right now. For me, what I've learned actually, historical trauma. It means not just my trauma, but my mom's trauma, my grandma's trauma, my auntie's trauma, and all the people, all of my relations behind them, all my ancestors. Trauma, year after year, century after century of trauma. So that's what historical trauma means. Let's ask Google and see if we get a little bit more of expansion on there, if she has something else to say about it. Hey Google, what does historical trauma mean?
On the website scf.hhs.gov, they say, historical trauma is intergenerational trauma experienced by a specific cultural group that has a history of being systematically oppressed. Current lifespan trauma, superimposed upon a traumatic ancestral past, creates additional adversity.
Okay, so it's not only Native Americans that have this historical trauma. It's with African Americans. It's with Jewish Americans. It's with Japanese Americans. And on and on and on. And there is more of us than there are of you racists. Okay? Even though it looked like this election season for 2020, there were more, because not everybody who voted for Trump is a racist. There's just a lot of mixed up, confused people who voted for somebody they thought was charismatic enough to become the president. And you were not right. Okay. So this for Native Americans came from the removal from native lands. Imagine somebody coming to your place where you live and then evict you for no reason at all. They didn't own the place. We were living on it, growing food and crops and raising animals. We were there. So what gives them the right to come along and say, we discovered this place, it's America, and we're going to live here. And then more people come over, and then they have a big land grab. But first they have to clear it of all the Native Americans, because all the white people coming over here did not want savages living on the land. Okay? Now, just because of how we dressed, how we looked, our religion is just as important. Our spirituality and religion, if you want to call it that, is just as important to us as yours is to you. Imagine that you come here and the Native Americans said, you can't worship like that. Having a cross and worshiping a cross that was the place where your Savior died, and you wear it on your necks. You wear it as jewelry, like you're making fun of it. That's what it looks like to me. It always has, and it always will. I don't get it. Replace the cross with a gun. Replace the cross with knives, arrows. poison, would you still wear that around your neck as jewelry and worship a cross, celebrate it as a remembrance that supposedly someone gave his life so that you could go on and be free? Free to do what exactly? So all of you people, all of you folks who study Christian ways, historically, the people who came here before you were terrible to the people historically that I'm related to. At the same time, I'm trying very hard to be peaceful about it all. And the other day I was relating to somebody about my story about my brother, my youngest daughter, my oldest brother, and my youngest brother both turned away from me because in 2016 I did not vote for Trump. And they called me names that are terrible, that you shouldn't call anybody because of their presidential selection. So I'm trying to be very peaceful about it. But it's really hard to be peaceful about it when you have historical trauma that dates back. It's like it's in our genes. It's in our DNA. It's not just something that you can get out. But I'm trying. And all the time and all the while that I try and try and try, I'm still seeing racism running rapid. And none of you who are racist have to go see a doctor about it. And it's pretty damn mental, if you ask me, to hate a person because of color of their skin is different than yours. We were put on this earth with different amounts of melanin, and that increases the color of our skin to be darker or lighter. So some of us have less, and some of us have a medium amount, and some of us have way more. So what? That does not make a person who they are. Your decision every single day that you make one when you wake up. What do you do when you wake up? And I don't mean just have a cup of coffee or drink some tea. What do you after that? What do you do after that? Who do you go out with? Who do you spend your times with? Now, pretty much you all know if anybody breaks the law, sooner or later they will be arrested for it. It seems like in this country, though, the darker your skin is, the quicker you're going to be arrested or even murdered on the street for the crime that you so-called committed. While other people with lighter skin will walk and walk and walk until maybe they're picked up sooner or later with a warrant for an arrest or something. Maybe. Me, I'm not taking any chances. I just follow the law because it's the right thing to do. That's the way we run America over here. Yeah, we have pretty much the freedom to do everything else, but we do have laws that prevent us from harming other people, taking things that are not ours, murdering people. Yes, in war, people are going to get killed, and that's not called murder per se, because everybody's pretty much agreed that there's a war going on, and I guess war is just fair play. I don't know how it runs. I don't like wars. I don't like guns. Okay, why do we need them? We have grocery stores. People who live far out in open rural areas that want to go fishing and hunting, great. Okay, you get a hunting license and a gun license to go hunting. But here in the city, what are you going to do? I've heard time after time police saying that if you have a gun and you shoot at somebody, if they're outside, that proves pretty much that they were not a harm. They have to be inside your home with no proof whatsoever that they were in there when you shot them, that your life was in danger. That's how I'm getting it. That's what I understand it to be. What do you think? Actually, I'm not asking for it in comments, but go ahead and put it if that's what you want to do. Because here's the thing. If I don't like your comment, I delete it. If I go to see your profile here on YouTube and I don't like it, I block you. So thanks for showing me who you are so that I can do that. And then you're blocked. And your comment is, depending on how bad it is, I would maybe flag it and then I would block you. Okay. I really haven't had to block very many people off of YouTube because they either come and listen or they don't. And some people, they're not brave enough to make a comment. So all they do is dislike. Big whoop-de-doo. You didn't like it. Boo-hoo. I got another finger for that, but I'm not going to do it. Basically, what I wanted to talk about here today, that it is Native American Heritage Month. And what are you going to do, whether you're Native American or not, to celebrate it, to understand it, and to learn more about our culture? What are you going to do? What? One of the best things that happened this month so far that I can see is that a very caring person was made president, and a very racist person, very bad racist person, was let go, fired, kicked out. Yeah, because no matter what he says, we voted, and we voted legally, not illegally. And that pisses me off that he thinks that we voted illegally and wants a big recount. Well, go ahead, because the recount is just going to show that we won fair and square. He says also that dead people voted. Really? How Did Dead People Vote by Ouija boards or crystal balls or crystal. Remember my crystal? Should I vote for, you know, I don't even know if I told you, but I used my crystal to say if Biden was going to win or Trump was going to lose, and it told me that Trump was going to lose. Do you remember me talking about my crystal? If it goes back to you and back and forth like this, that means yes. See? Yes. If it goes like this, that's no. I'm doing these to show you. I'm overemphasizing. So, here we go. Is Biden, let me rephrase that, is Joe Biden the good choice for president? Okay, so it's saying yes. Is it time for Trump to leave the office of president? Yes. Did the American people cheat on their votes? See how it was going to a yes and then it stopped and then it definitely changed. Okay. So, if there were any dead people who got counted after the vote, after November 3rd, and the votes got counted and wound up that some of those people are now deceased, it is only because probably that many of them could have died of COVID along the way because we were told to vote early. My daughter and I voted in October 5th to be exact. And anything could have happened between October 5th and November 3rd, couldn't it? So it's not that dead people just woke up out of the dead like a zombie and voted. Idiot. You are an idiot. Not you watching. I mean, the idiot who's still clutching onto his golf clubs in the White House. The day that they decided, he just said, shoot, they're not even, I'm just going to sue everybody because nobody gave me, showed me as the winner, so I'm just going to go play golf. But I'm the winner. I'm just going to play golf. I'm going to sue them. That's that. Crazy. Cuckoo. Lunatic. Okay? So, him and all of you who may or may not have followed him for whatever reason, if you just followed him because you thought he was so cool, you need to have your heads examined. Sorry to tell you that. I don't like to diagnose anybody because I'm not a doctor. But I do see, I know nutso. I know nutso when I see it. Definitely Trump is nutso. So what I was talking about with another person was telling him how, I felt really bad that my brothers and my youngest daughter voted for Trump and then kicked me to the curb. And I said, but now's the time that I hope that they see the right and maybe that they will talk to me again, that I could just forgive them and move on. Because I basically did. I just forgave them and moved on. If they want to try to contact me or something, then they can do it. If not, okay. But this person said no. Once somebody liked and followed Trump, they just have to be wiped out, forgotten, let go of. Okay. I don't know. That's ridiculous. How are we ever going to have peace if we don't let the bad people in this world make a change? What are we going to do? Is racism against the law? And if so, how do you prove that a person is racist? Especially if they're acting like it, they're not. Okay? If they don't openly go out and say this or this, and is it only just words? Or is it the way they act, what they do? Okay? Like the police officers that have been bad and murdered people. Okay? What do we do? They need to be tried, and they need to go in front of the peers, 12 peers, and judged and found guilty or innocent. And I'm pretty hopeful that if they did go to court for that, for the murder of Brianna and George, they would, and all the other people, all the other folks that they've murdered all along the way, and it hasn't only just been blacks, it's been all kinds of people. Look it up, okay? I'm not going to go all into it, but it is a lot of black people, okay? And it is also, too, Native Americans. I mean, there's Native Americans that don't live on reses, and even if they do, the FBI will go and get them if they want to. Okay? Look at Leonard Peltier. Sorry, my mind went for a minute because people are doing homework or something disturbing in the living room, so fooling around, tomfoolery. So anyways, yeah. What, that's what has to happen is people act and behave in racist ways, I mean, that we need, if saying a word or a bad word is not enough, what is? Beating each other because of the race, saying bad jokes, using bad terms, isn't that enough? That we just say, hey, stop it. Stop doing that. That's racist. Don't do it. I don't like it. It's not funny. Stop doing it. We need to take command over it. That's what it's like to have African American Awareness Day or whatever, and Cultural Day, and then we have, it's like what, every race that gets hurt needs to have a month. Well, let's do it then. What about Jewish Awareness Day or Jewish Heritage Day? When is that? Italian Heritage Day. When's that? Puerto Rican Awareness Cultural Day. When is that? Okay, so, and there's many, many more. Polish, Chinese, Japanese. All the people that have been joked about for centuries and put down and separated and just called terrible and treated terrible because of the color of their skin, because the differences of their cultural preferences, because the differences of their racial, religious beliefs. Okay, well, this video has gone on to 40 minutes, and I've been just hearing too much going on, too much tomfoolery going on in the living room, and I thought it might be leaking into the video. It's distracting me, that's for sure. So let me try to just wrap it up here too. Number one, I do appreciate Native American Heritage Month, but do not think for one moment that at the end of the month we just go into our teepees and we be quiet and wait till the next November, because that doesn't happen. We're all around. We voted, and a lot of us voted to get President-elect Biden into office and get that scumbag out. Also, racism is maybe not dead at this moment, because it's going to take a long time to make it flow. We finally were able to get people to be kinder about gay rights. And I hope in my lifetime, because in 61 years that I've been alive, that's all I've seen. And believe it, even if I have this very pale skin, I have seen it. I've seen it at the way that my mom kept us from knowing our heritage. That's a form of racism right there, because she did not want us to be hurt and ridiculed and antagonized in school the way she was. From her family, even her stepmother, who used to punish her and her brother for speaking any little bit of Cherokee that they knew. That's a form of racism. Okay? My mother grew up with that. She didn't want it for us. So don't let the color of our skin fool you, though. Especially me. I might be alone in my Native American Heritage Month celebration here at my house, because nobody else here cares about following it like I do. So I'm just kind of on my own, and that's why I'm doing this. This is why I'm speaking out, and I'll be writing in my Facebook about it too. But it seems like several times in a row I've started writing about it, got to a certain point where it just disappeared. And then a little note said, oops, something happened, but try again. What the hell? Okay. So, yeah, stop being racist. If you need to have help, I'm sure that there's help out there for you. There's mental health centers out there that will be glad to help you. If they could help me control my anger issues that are usually without any, without any fault of me. Everybody else in this whole world can get angry. I've seen it with your fists pumping in the air and breaking down glass windows and breaking things and everything. And all just everything going on out there. People are angry. Okay? Rightfully so, justfully so is what I was trying to say. Well, so do I. I get angry too. But yet, every step of the way, I'm suppressed. Don't yell like that. Don't get mad. Stop crying. Why are you crying for? So, I have a big bunch of emotions boiling over from all of this stuff. But am I going to go out and cause problems? Turn over cars, spit on people, cough on people, and other things? No, I'm not. Because I'm bigger than all of you people out there. All of you racists out there that think it's just hot stuff. Making fun of people because of the colors of their skin. Get over it. You do need help. It is one of the worst sicknesses a person could have. Alcohol, not too bad. You drink, you feel happy, you go to sleep. Or you get in the car, run off the road, kill somebody. Racism, it's just like you don't even have to drink anything. Boom. You see somebody on TV has got darker skin than you, and you're going to say something. Okay, so yeah, it's a sickness. It just hasn't been declared one yet, because I think if they do, it gives everybody a right. You see? And I don't really want to share this and my therapy spaces with a bunch of racists. You just need to stop. If anything, they need to outlaw it. If you're caught saying something wrong, bing, bam. But there's no proof. Proof. Everybody needs proof. If I hear it, it should be enough. Bam. Shut up. You say something else. I hear it. That should be enough. Bam. You're out. You're out, buddy. Because I'm not going to listen to it no more. I'm not going to accept it anymore. And that's what everybody else out there needs to do. You need to stop accepting it. In cartoons, in adult comic TV programs. I'm not going to name names because they're famous enough as it is. So I'm not going to name them. But you know what I'm talking about. Those grown-up cartoons out there that say all these little jokes and then just say, oh, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. Oh, really? It's not funny anymore. It's not funny. Stop it. Yes, we might not like to have sports teams out there called the Redskins. Would you? Would you like it to be called the Whiteskins? Or whatever you're called, whatever would piss you off? The Hicks, how about that? The Rednecks, how about that? Okay? So we could find one, I'm sure we could, that would insult all of you people just as bad as Redskins. Chief. You don't get to be called Chief. You haven't done nothing to be called something like Chief. Get out of here. Really. Bring it on. So, basically, if you want to be racist in your own family, and if you teach it to your kids and they say, wait a minute, this is wrong. We're learning in school it's wrong. See, school and family. See, because why? Everybody's mixed in a school nowadays, dearies. So you can't just say, you want to have a white only school, go ahead and invent it, own white only school. Go take your little kids to it and keep teaching them to be racist, because they're going to grow up against you like I did against my stepfather, like my mom should have against her stepmother, and said, you shouldn't be hitting me because I'm using language my mom taught me. What's wrong with you? And you lay a hand on me, lady, and I'm out of here. But my mom didn't have that protection back then. Kids got smacked around. They were lucky if they lived the next day, and nobody gave a damn. So don't tell me. You teach your kids not to be racist. And if you're racist and your kids grow up saying, hey, cut it out, that's not good, that's not cool, I don't like it, then you listen to them because they're right. That's what I did. And I moved on and I moved out and I dropped out of the church that I was in because it was racist. And I stopped listening to whatever my dad had to say. Nothing he said I kept as a value. I can't remember. All I can remember is the bad racist things that he did say. And it taught me not to be racist. I learned a lesson from him in that way. So your children will learn a lesson from you too, because they'll be going to schools with Native Americans and Mexicans and Italians. And yes, folks, African Americans, black people, they will be going to school with them. And they'll be learning what wonderful people they are. What wonderful people we are. And they're going to know, and they're going to separate from you because it's wrong. You cannot make your kids be racist forever. It's a sickness that you have, and they're going to break away from it. Because how do you make a person be racist when they're out in the real world? Are you going to keep your kids secluded from America as we change over to stop being racist? Are you going to keep your kids at home because you're afraid that your disease that you spread onto them is going to stop and they're going to get well and they're not going to be racist? Are you afraid of that? Be afraid, because it's going to happen. We're stopping it. And by we, I mean myself and other folks like me. We're stopping it. Have peace in your heart. Be peaceful and stop being racist.